guys, hope you're all okay. I just wanted to pop on here and show you a video of how I would go about French tipping these nails. I've had quite a few questions off the back of one of the reels that I did on my Instagram in regards to how I would do a French tip. So there are a number of different methods. And for those of you that are just starting out, or you're somebody that's been doing it for a while and you're a little bit unsure, or applying a French tip isn't something that you're particularly confident with, it's really popular at the moment, and I personally think it's going to stick around for a while. So it is a skill that no matter what your skill level is, ideally you want to be practicing this. So I have seen people apply the colour onto the jelly stamper and then roll it onto their tip. That is a method if you are struggling and you're finding it difficult to do. But I think with all nail art, if you are going to attempt to do it and you are going to be offering it as a service for a client, then I think when it comes to things like that, it's something that you need to practice. And practice will make perfect, or close to perfect. The more you practice, the better you'll get. And I do think when it comes to French, having that skill of being able to just apply it, it looks better, and it means you can charge accordingly for it. So I'm going to show you so I am actually right-handed. I've already done my left hand because I wanted to show you using my non-dominant hand how I would go about doing my right hand, so that for those of you that are struggling to do it, I want to show you, even with my left hand, it is straightforward, and once you've got the technique down, it's quite simple. So there's two techniques I want to show you, and I have done these, as I say, on a reel on my Instagram, but it is a very quick reel and it's more of a demonstration, so I'm actually going to talk you through it on this one. So firstly, you obviously need a base. So I've already applied my base from a previous video, which is a nice cover pink. And you then need a white. So you can use whatever white you want. I usually use CND. So if you wanted to come in, if that's what you've got, you could use like your cream puff, or, whatever sort of white you want. I personally, when I come to do French, I like to use art gels, because generally I tend to find it's thicker in consistency, so it tends to stay where you put it. When you use gel polishes, they do tend to, because they're a little bit more watery, especially the CND ones, they're not as pigmented, they do tend to sort of move slightly. So I do like using an art gel. So I have got Brilbird Go1, I have got my Nail Chemi ones, but recently I've purchased these ones, Home of Nail Art, which I've found really, really good. And after speaking to them initially and just asking them whether they're safe to be cured in the CND lamp, or do I need to purchase a separate lamp, they've assured me that they're absolutely fine to be cured underneath the CND lamp, and I can carry on with my normal top coat if I wanted to. These do actually have a top coat in them, so if you don't want to top coat, you don't have to. I personally prefer to top coat, but again, that's personal choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to decant a little bit of this onto a palette. You need a decent brush, and I tend to find the fine liner ones are really, really good. So this particular one is an Erin Seal one, and it's called Bestie. She has got other ones as well, and in actual fact, the other one that I used to really like using was Boss It. So I'll just show you. It's a slightly longer brush, and what you tend to find with the longer ones is that I think you've got more control over them for when you do lines. There's more sort of room to sort of mess up, so it's entirely up to you. Obviously you can go for a shorter one, but you do have more control with the longer one. So you do need to make sure when you are using a brush, you are cleaning them in between. Now you do have to be careful what you're cleaning with them. So I use my disperse, which is your alcohol. So you wouldn't use acetone on your brushes because it will damage the bristles. So just give it a cleanse over, just to make sure that the bristles aren't stiff and there's no previous product in there. Okay, and then I'm just going to decant some of this out rather than working out of the pot. Okay, and it also coats all my bristles for me. So I've told you before in previous videos, when you're doing your line work, it's important. So obviously you want to be coating the entire brush that you're using, the length of your brush. So what I tend to do is I start in the top of the polish, I'll drag the brush through, and as I drag the brush, I don't know if you can see, but I'm actually turning the brush with my fingers, so it's coating the whole entire brush. Okay, and then I'm just going to show you, because if you can see there is a little blob forming on the end. Now if you come in and place that onto your nail, you're going to end up with a thicker line, which you don't want. So what you want to do is you want to place, using your palette, place it down, same process that I've just done, twizzle your brush and draw the line out. Okay, so that will remove some of the product. So if you want to go light, obviously you're just using a fine touch. Obviously the harder you press down, the thicker that line will become. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, with a longer brush, you've actually got more control of getting that really nice, show you here, straight line, because you use the length of the brush to draw your line, you see. So with that being said, what you want to do, so there's two steps that I can show you. Okay, so if I show you, I'm just going to cleanse over my nails, make sure there's no fluff or anything on any of them. So what I do is I'll always prepare the brush with my right hand, because I'm right-handed. And then what I want to do is I'm going to come in, so I need to rest my hand down on something because it makes it easier for me using my non-dominant. And again, the same, when I use my right hand, I will always use my little finger as a rest, or one of my other fingers as a rest. So my little finger goes on the surface and I'm using these to obviously angle and draw. Okay, so what you would do, you can just about see through this cover pink my natural free edge. Okay, so what you would do is, where your free edge starts in your two side walls, you would place 2 dots. So I'm going to pop a dot here, and I'm also going to place a dot the opposite side. I'll just show you that. Okay, so you can see the 2 dots, right? And you can see my natural free edge. So when you come to do a French polish, ideally you want to be covering that natural free edge. You don't want any of the free edge showing, because as the nail grows, obviously the white tip's going to move and then the free edge is going to become visible again. So you tend to find when people have got longer nails, naturally they'll have a bigger free edge, so it will be a bigger white tip. So sometimes it can look quite false on people, because obviously naturally when you've got a long free edge, you've got to do, otherwise it's going to look silly because you can see the free edge underneath it. So I've placed those 2 dots there, and then what you want to do, where you can see my natural free edge coming across here, you would then draw, so again using your brush, you're going to draw a horizontal line. So I'm actually going to rest my left hand down now on the base and use my little finger as support, and you're going to draw a line from one side to the other. So just bear with me guys, because I am using my left hand. Okay, so you'll see there's that line across. Now where your 2 dots are in the corner, if you need to load your brush up again, load your brush up again. So I'm turning my hand slightly, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place that brush down, and I'm going to join, I'm going to put a curve in and join that line, and I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to put a curve in and I'm going to join that line. Okay, and then what you want to do is just check that's all nice and neat and even. Put your curvature in so it's now no longer a straight line. I'm just going to show you that. Okay, you then need to fill all this in, this free edge in. So if there's a lot to fill in, you could always use, I'll just show you, so this one's like an oval gel, you could use that to fill it in, or you can continue with the brush that you're already using and just fill it all in. And then I always come around and I just check my free edge, okay? So again, I'm using my little finger as support. It doesn't matter if you're shaking a little bit, you'll still be able to do it. And you just want to make sure you're coming around all the edge here and you're capping that free edge. And if you find when you've done it, the line, you feel like your line isn't very neat, this is where you can come in with an like an art gel brush. So see, like there, look, I've just gone out of the line a little bit. Rather than having to make that free edge bigger where you've made a mistake, you can actually come in instead. So I'll show you. So I'm going to use this oval gel, and you can actually come in, just make sure there's nothing on that brush. You can actually just come in and just tidy up with some of your alcohol wipe and just remove some of it away. Okay, so the other thing you can do, if you're feeling a little bit more confident, rather than having to draw the lines in, what you can do is, like you've just done with that one, you're going to map out on this one, you're going to map out similar sort of things. So instead of you putting a dot there and a line, you'll just start from one side and draw your curve in and let the angle of the brush do the work. And then I turn my finger rather than my hand. So you'll see my left hand has stayed in position and I've actually moved my right hand. So I've moved it like that while the brush is on it, and I've just allowed the brush to do the work. So this hand stayed still, I've put it down, and then I've turned what would have been my finger to create that. And because I'm doing it from that angle, you'll see here where I've gone slightly thicker. Doesn't matter, because you're going into the bit that you're going to be filling in with the white anyway. Okay, so I'll show you that. So you've got that nice angle, and you just want to be coming in from this side and just touching that line up. Now, I personally, when I'm doing my own, prefer doing this method, because I find, because it's one continuous line, it tends to be more accurate, and I haven't got to keep going in and playing around with that free edge, with the line that I've put in, the C curve, should I say, not free edge. And then like the other one, you are just literally filling it in. The one thing I would say when you are doing this, whichever style you decide, whichever technique you decide to use, the one thing I would say is you need to use that across all 10 fingers, because if you flip between two different techniques, it will show in your work. You'll be able to tell that you've used two different techniques, and I'll show you why with these two in a second. And once I've pointed it out to you, it will be quite obvious, and I think you'll realise. So it's really important that if you choose one particular technique, stick with it. Obviously, when it comes to, if you were doing like a micro French, it's slightly different. And again, for the micro French, there's two options. You can either just, because you're just doing, say it's a square nail, you're just doing, or even like this, if you were doing a micro French, you could just go around and just do the tip like that. Or if it's one where it's a square, you can sort of fill your corners in, get them how you want it, and then come across with a thin line. So I'll show you, for example, if you were doing a micro French on a nail, what you could do is you could come in, say this is your nail here, what you could do is you could fill in your corners. So get these corners done. Like this. And then once you've got your corners in, you'd then scoop across your free edge. Like that. If it was a square nail. Yeah. So let me just show you them. So that's one method, that's the other method. And this is why I'm saying you need to be consistent, because I'm gonna just smudge that one now. Just put that back in. If you look closely at these, the natural curve I've put in looks slightly different. This one is a deeper C curve, and this one is a flatter C curve, as you'll see. And that's because I put a line across and then I'm joining up to the line. This one, I've used my brush to take it round, so it's created a deeper C curve. So it very much depends what your preference is, but you can very much see, I can, and I think now I've pointed it out to you, you'll probably be able to see quite clearly that there is a difference. Obviously, if you find this method easier, but you prefer the look of this one, what you could do is, once you've done that, you could always then come back in at your sides and just take them down just a touch more to give you a bit more of a deeper C curve. So it brings your white tips further down if you wanted to create a little bit more of a C curve. Okay, but just remember, whatever technique you use, you stick to that across all 10 nails to keep them even and consistent. All right, guys, I hope that's helped you. If you do have any questions, pop them in the comments below. As always, if you like the videos that I put on, give them a double tap and subscribe to see any of my other videos. And if there's anything else that you'd like to see, anything that you'd like any help with, drop me a comment below or send me a message. And as always, head over to my social media and follow me on there. All right, guys, bye.